Welcome to It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and early 80s. This is Kara Siegel. I'd like to welcome in Bill Kaiser to the It's Been How Long podcast studio today. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Kara. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast today.
I'm excited, I think, as I nervously await your next question.
Okay. All right. Well, I start out with a toughie. It's been 44 years, and gosh, that number just is amazing. 44 years since we graduated. So where are you, and what are you doing? What keeps you busy these days?
Sure. So I'm speaking to you from Medford, New Jersey. I didn't end up too far from our hallowed grounds of Cherry Hill. Been here in this house for 20 years, three different houses in Medford. So I, stayed close by. After getting out of high school, went to Lehigh University, a couple of Cherry Hill East, Jeff Woolley, Ann Zaharcha, a couple names you may
Oh yeah.
recall. Went to Lehigh, and then I spent about 10 years in the Yellow Page industry selling Yellow Page ads, which is a pretty cool job. Met my wife there, not in the Yellow Pages. I wasn't looking up wives, Yellow Pages.
That was the original Match.com, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. Look up everything in the Yellow Pages. Talk about something that's changed. Yellow Pages were it. Now it's like, what? They're stools. I mean, what the heck? Are they around anymore? So did that. Then I got into an insurance career, and I spent about 20 years as an insurance broker, became an owner, one of 5 owners of a firm in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Worked there with, let's go some name dropping, Karen Higgins Camerado. So we worked together there, and her sister was there as well. Great company, award-winning company, which oxymoron for an insurance broker, but it was a special place. Did that for 20 years. We sold in 2008 to Arthur J. Gallagher. So it was nice, career achievement to be able to tuck a little bit of money away from that. And then got back in with the former president of that company. The name of the company was RSI. And for the last 8 years, I head up our sales unit, and I'm a public speaker. I do a lot of keynote speaking and speaking to CEOs around the country, talking and helping them build better cultures in their teams. So pretty cool gig. Work from home, sit here with my sheepadoodle who's passed out, 14 years old, next to me. And yeah, no complaints, Kara. It's been a fast moving, like you say it every time. You're like, 40, are you kidding me? 44 years. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. That's very cool. So what do you do when you have time for fun?
Yeah, well, I know you played tennis, right? So I'm with a lifelong friend. Our parents partied, before I even got into school, and he lives the town over. So he's got a bunch of buddies, and we're getting into the tennis season. I don't play in the winter. Used to play racquetball with him, then we transitioned. We're playing a lot of tennis now. So I played in sophomore year. I played a year of tennis at Cherry Hill East. So I tennis, and I belong to the local golf club here, Medford Lakes Country Club, which is a cool beautiful little old course. I'm not setting the world on fire. I enjoy the time out. Don't get there enough. Like, it's one of those things. I'm not a diehard. It's a weekday membership. I don't take up weekend time. And then I have a little, I work from home here, but I have my little exercise, Peloton bike over there and some weights. And I've been really enjoying getting back into a daily grind of trying to be more fit. The older we get, the more important that becomes. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's that stuff. My wife and I like to travel. Our kids are spread out. We'll get into that. We've had some cool trips of late. I think you cover that coming up. So yeah, all's good.
So no pickleball yet. You're still doing tennis.
My buddy and I joke about it. Yeah, and no offense to anybody that plays pickleball. I know it's a craze, but we're resisting that. That's like the next. When we can't do the tennis thing anymore, then we'll scrunch it down and play. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I look forward to it, but
right now you're still enjoying tennis.
Yeah, I really, and doubles, which I didn't think, I like the competition of singles and moving around, but you know what? At this age, there's plenty of sweat and heart palpitations and, injury potential playing doubles.
Absolutely.
So I've been enjoying that. Next will be pickleball, but I'm holding it off.
Okay. All right. That's great.
Are you playing tennis still?
I know I had to give up tennis a while ago. I've dabbled a little in pickleball, and I've just gotten back into ping pong. Grew up with a ping pong table in the basement. Funny thing, I'm playing ping pong at the senior center, which some people are giving me grief about. Like, 62,
These
but
you win? Like, what are you
what
doing? Like playing the eight?
I tell you, I have never played more competitive people than 60-year-olds at this senior center. I am learning so much.
But we're not
Uh,
really seniors yet.
yeah,
I mean,
I got a discount the other day.
yeah, don't, yeah. I guess who defines seniors? AARP, I guess we are, but
Oh, for sure.
good for you. Good
Yeah,
for you.
anyway.
Beating up on
So
the seniors.
what's that? Yeah,
Beating
I'm
up on
not though. They're beating up on me. I tell you,
there you go.
competitive lot. Um, so what'd you do back at East?
I think back to those days, and you and I were chatting a little bit earlier. I played football. I had a lot of really cool friends, and I think it was a Scott Goldberg talking about the neat thing about, man, we had a large class, right? And that's what I wanted to ask you that, like, how many did we graduate with? I've
I,
heard over 1,000. I've heard 700 to 8. Do we know what that number?
I tell you, I came up with 777, and somebody else had the same number. I think it's
That was in my head
somewhere
too.
just around there, right around 800, a little bit less. I don't think we were as high as 1,000.
Yeah, it was
So
close. I mean, I remember freshman year we had the split schedule, right? We were coming in because it was so crowded. But I guess my biggest, involvement was playing football. I believe I was in student council. I played tennis one year, sophomore year. Um, that's what I can remember. I mean, I know there were some volunteers. I remember doing a really cool community service thing, and I don't know if you were involved, or it was a big deal for special needs children that was held at the Hilton out on
So, have you had a chance to listen to Fred Balchakoff's?
B.
Uh,
How about that? That's somebody. No, I have to go back to his, and I want to get to that.
yeah, so he talks about that. I think it's his that he talks about, or helping to organize that and starting it. And started small, and then it grew.
How
And so
big?
I think it got, yeah.
Big. I'll
So
have to
that
check
was it.
that
Yeah.
out.
So you remember correctly. Yeah, there was quite an event apparently. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so did you have a job back in high school?
Yeah, I remember starting off even like during high school. Before that, I was like cutting lawns. My parents would go get pull some weeds over at the Radcliffe's house, and I picked up some of that stuff. But then I recall my first after getting the license, I guess, in April of whenever it was, I guess junior year,
Mhm.
uh, independent meat market, which was, remember the Clover Shopping Center, which I don't
Yeah.
know what it
Yeah.
is now. There was a strip center in front of that where there was a liquor store that some of us were fortunate enough to be able to get in and get out with some stuff, beverages. That's where Independent Meat Market was. Stacy
Mm.
Galligan, I don't know if you remember her name, she worked there. Greg Edwards. I was cutting chickens with bandsaws, serving deli meats, wrapping. That was my first gig where I was like, oh wow, paycheck. And I
Taxes.
and then that was really it until graduating high school. And then my mom still has a house down in Long Beach Island, so I worked summers down there after that. That was fun.
Okay. So you went to Lehigh, and from Lehigh, did you stay over in Pennsylvania, or did you come right back?
No, I came back. Well, no, I did. My first job out of Lehigh was, it's funny. I worked for Travelers Insurance. It was like one of two job offers I had. Which one am I taking? It wasn't even a consideration to like blow it off and chill for a little bit, right? No, you got to
Right.
path we're all supposed to be on. And I went to work for Travelers, spent that summer up in Hartford training to be a group insurance rep, and then was sent to the booming town of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I lived there for a year. Didn't really like it, Care. It was like I was working with older people. It was like, man, it was not the most dynamic environment for someone just busted out of college. And then I moved to Hershey, where I knew some people and lived there for 6 months. And then, I'm out of this insurance gig. I'm never going back to this business. And then found a job with the Yellow Pages through recommendations. And oddly enough, after Yellow Pages, I then spent 20 more years in the insurance gig. So a little bit of time away, but then back here to Southern New Jersey. We got married in 88, so it'll be 36 years in April, and we've lived in Medford our entire span.
Wow. So how
Yeah.
did you meet your wife?
She was, it's funny, it's one of those things. I remember the first time seeing her in the Yellow Pages had an office, remember Barclay Center on 70.
Hmm.
Across the street from that, there's a road called Ronaldo Terrace. It's kind of near where the Wawa is and near the old travel building, whatever. That was the building that I first worked at. I remember she worked there. She was leading a sales team of telephone salespeople. And I remember passing her in the hallway. I can remember the exact moment. It was pretty cool story. And then she ended up just, and may she rest in peace. Lisa, do you remember Lisa Tandorjan? Lisa passed, unfortunately.
Mm,
Lisa was really good friends with Jody Graham.
okay.
Lisa married Doug Cook, great
Oh.
athlete coming out of our class, Cherry Hill. Um, Lisa worked for my wife, Lee.
Hmm.
And, that's how I got to know Lee a little bit better because I was friendly with Lisa and just another Cherry Hill East connection. So yeah, that's where we met. Long
Oh.
time. Yeah.
Well, so I asked these questions backwards, but did you have a high school sweetheart?
I don't think in like a steady girlfriend no, and I don't mean any disrespect. I mean, I had some I dated a few girls over the years or a couple of years and great people, but not like you'd go back and, Jeff Fendrick, I know had one and other people have talked, oh yeah, so and so.
Yeah.
Not one in particular, but just some really cool people. I went to the junior prom with Marty Rickson. I went to my senior prom with Peggy Doyle. But yeah, I wouldn't say a sweetheart that lasts. Sweetheart. There has to be some length to the relationship, right? There's got to be some time in there. So I'd say no to that.
Okay. All right. So, where have you guys had the opportunity to travel?
Um, I'll go recent. Growing when the kids are growing up and all those years, there wasn't any, the Disney trip here or there, the main cabin, little things like that, those excursions. 2 years ago, Kara, we did a 2 week trip to Italy.
Oh, nice.
And we did it like we pulled out the stops, like, whoops, so should we, yeah, let's just go, let's go for it. And it was 5 days and nights in Florence. There were a couple of nights in the Tuscany region, stayed at really cool places. Then we finished off the last 2 days in Rome, and it was just a phenomenal, we just came back like wide-eyed, just what a great trip. And then last year in the fall, we went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay.
And as much as we loved Italy, my wife was like, this was such a great trip, like phenomenal. We were like just blown away with the beauty. Like, oh, cool, this is in our country. There's so much to see here.
Yeah.
We spent a week in Jackson Hole. We did a fly fishing trip. We hiked in Teton Park, and we took a tour through Yellowstone. It's marvelous. If you get a chance, if you
Do
haven't,
it.
put it on the list, and it's just phenomenal. We did Alaska a few years. I had business actually in Alaska. So Lee and I went to Alaska and extended the trip. Similar feeling. You get to Alaska and you feel like a little ant in an ant farm. It's so majestic. It's like massive.
Mm.
That's another one I'd put on the list. So I've been to my work has me. I've traveled a lot. The map behind me has you can't see
Yeah.
them, little red pins as to where I've been. And maybe there are 6 states I haven't been to for
Mm.
business. I've been to some cool spots in California in the wine region. So next trip, I think, and we're late to the game, but I want to pull off September, October, head to like Banff. I
Oh.
hear incredible things about Banff or Glacier National Park, and just,
Hmm.
I think that's the next adventure, formal vacation anyway.
That sounds great. That
Yeah.
sounds great. Was there a class or a teacher at East that influenced you beyond your high school days?
Well, that would require some sort of a memory. It's funny. I thought about that, and I just remember. I remember freshman year, last class of the day. I think it was geometry with Mr. Druce. And I
Oh.
hope Dave Goldstein watches one of these because Dave and it was our last class before going to football practice. And for whatever reason, we were lucky enough to sit back and I remember the back right of the classroom. And we probably were a little bit nudgy to Mr. Druce. I remember that class only just because it was so much fun with Goldstein next to me. I remember, I would say influence. I remember Mr. B. I remember, I can't say that like, oh yeah, this person, got me interested in literature. No, I remember Stanley Krantz, Mr.
Yeah.
Krantz, biology.
Yeah.
I had that with Jeff Fender. I'm close to Jeff Fender. Jeff and I were real close in high school, and we're now trying to get together once a month. Cool story. We'll talk about him, but love the Fender family. And I remember being in there. Jeff, here's Jeff is like crushing grades, and I did okay. You know, I wasn't a bad student, but I wasn't Fendrick level. And he and I were dissecting a fetal pig. And I remember sitting across the lab table, and I was like, you know, I like a little bit of a prankster, or have some fun, whatever. And not to be gross, but the first thing you do is you take your scalpel and gently cut a little circle at the top of the head. And I remember it peeled off. This is gross, but hey, you can cut this out. Peeled off a little layer of skin from the fetal pig. And I did one of these. Hit Jeff Fen Fuzz right in the lip. It's the only time I've ever seen Jeff Fendrick. He's, you know, you saw him in that. He's like sweetest guy in the world. The only time I really saw him pissed. I mean, he was like, I hit him in the mouth with a piece of a fetal pig scalp. I remember Krantz appreciating our sense of humor and having fun. I remember probably learning more than I would have in a class that because of him a little bit. Just let's have some fun, but we can have fun and we can learn at the same time. And he allowed the fence was, we had some pretty big boundaries in there, I recall. So anyway, but other than that, I remember having some funny interactions with, was it Doug Lyons? Wasn't he our advisor or something in our class at one point in
He,
time?
so he was very involved in the student council, which is where
Okay,
you would have spent
there
time
you go.
if you were in student council. I think you all had a special homeroom with Doug Lyons as your
Yeah,
homeroom
okay.
teacher, as described by Robin and some of the other folks
Yeah.
who did that. Yeah.
By the way, that was you know, seeing so many of these, I was really impressed with Robin, and you know, just what a shame. But I found so much, like, what a strong woman, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was, you know, she always articulate. I remember, I think maybe it was junior high, or was it freshman year? And I was like, you know, girls matured faster than guys. And I remember at my house one night, the doorbell rings. I lived in Barclay, and I think it was Leslie Orlando. Did you ever know
Mm-hmm.
Leslie?
Yeah, I know, Leslie.
Robin were friends, and I think Robin lived somewhere in Barclay as well. I open up the door, and it's those two. I'm like, Robin Garland? What the hell are they? Are they at the wrong house? Why are they at my house? And they just were out visiting. Like, I couldn't put three words together, but I just remember Robin all the way even through high school, just very articulate, very like, man, seemed like always ahead of everybody else, so to speak. And it's just, yeah, I wish her lots of strength, and I was inspired, and it's just a reminder for all of us. I was
Mhm.
impressed with her chat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so let's see. Any folks from East you're still in touch with?
Yeah, sporadic, you know, you think about, so Reggie, and I'll tell you a Reggie story in a little bit. So I was with Reggie and his wife. My daughter was in from California. We'll get into the family in a little bit, I'm sure, but that's the story. My daughter and Reggie are tied together, which means we're all tied together. So I got together with Reggie, I guess about a month ago, met him for drinks, and we love getting together with them. We always figure out, but it never happens enough. And they're in Voorhees and we're here in Medford. Jeff Fendrick and I are back into a rotation of, you know, seeing each other more often with his schedule. He goes down to the shore on weekends, but we've done a, like, the goal is once a month lunch on Fridays. Had a cool thing with him 2 months ago. Jeff's dad, Dr. Fendrick,
Yes.
Fuzzy, uh, great pediatrician. My
He was
mom was
my
a nurse.
pediatrician.
Was he really?
Yeah.
So he's like, just so you know, you know, just
Yeah.
one family. I would go out in high school. I'd pick up Jeff, country club, I think, court or whatever
Yeah.
there. Pick him up. By the way, his brother Doug is our wills and estate attorney. His brother Mark handles our money at UBS. And when my kids come in and their kids are sick, we make the emergency call to Jeff, and Jeff sees it. It's just like an incredible family. But I pick him up. We'd go out, and, you know, I'd say hi to everybody. So friendly, the entire family. So he's what, two brothers, two sisters, and they'd be like, before he would come out, you know, like, we'd walk out the kitchen. I'd have to wait as he, like, basically gave a hug and a kiss to everybody and told them he loved them on the way out. Like, that family was like, wow. Which is like, oh, and he wasn't afraid to let his friends see that. They were just such a tight, warm, genuine family. But so wish I got together more with him, but at least we're back into the rotation. I was really close growing up. Jeff Wyand. I don't know if you remember Jeff Wyand.
I know the name.
Another Barkley. So Jeff Wyand, Rick Diamond, and John Newcomb and I hung out in the elementary school years and played sports together, tennis, football, basketball, baseball, whatever, all played together. And then you start going different ways. Jeff's one of those guys that we'll always reach out on each other's birthdays. We know that. I spent more time at his house in elementary school, you know, kind of growing up. Always one of those guys that I wish I saw more of, and, you know, shame on us, right? Fender. I see guys like I heard you talking about a reunion. Um, was it 20, our 40th got postponed because
Right.
of COVID, right?
Yeah.
And then there was a gathering at I think Dooney's Pub,
Yeah.
and I guess Alan Feldman ran that. It wasn't a huge turnout, but
Right.
like Gary Ligori and Steve Stewart and Jeff Woolley, Bernie Donaldson, Eric Rappel, Jeff, myself. It was cool to gather with those people again, and people you'll maybe get birthday wishes on Facebook from, but man, why can't we see them more often? But nothing steady. I'd say Fen, or I call him Fuzz, uh, is the and Reggie are the two people that I've had the most contact with from high school. And Jeff Wine will always check in with each other just because we were so close early on and spent a lot of time at each other's houses growing up.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Anybody you were tight with that you lost touch with that you're
Yeah. I don't
wondering
know
about?
if Jeff Fendrick said this. Bob Shaw was so Jeff, Bob, and myself. Senior year got pretty tight. Bob was played football, was a great football player, one of our captains, and was tight with him, in high school. And then he went to I think Iowa
Mm.
for school, and then it just and his family moved, so he wasn't coming back ever. And it
Oh,
just
right.
occasionally I'll see him pop up. I haven't made a connection with him on Facebook because I'm like, Bill who? Like I don't would be that way, but it was just one of those guys that looks like he's, again, I'm one of those Facebook creepers. I don't post a lot because I like, what am I going to post? I just look at everybody else's and go, oh, well,
Yeah.
look what's going on. Looks like he's doing well and cool family, but that's one person that be interesting to reconnect with.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe more forced connection with some of those guys like Bernie and Gary and George. And they have a group that were really tight, and they get together a lot. Kudos to them. They're doing it right. And when I see them, it's like it's just a great feeling. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's great. Do you have a standout memory from high school, either with friends or something around school or extracurricular or
I think, I just the team sport thing and playing football with all those guys and grinding through, back. It's always we walk 3 miles uphill in the snow both ways to and from school. But we had, like,
Jeff talked about 2 days, I think, or three
yeah,
days. Was
3 days.
2 days, three
We actually
three
had,
days.
like, we're taking naps at the gym, and it was like
Yeah.
August, and just going through that, there's something. I think it's a great life lesson, right? To just be part of a team. Unfortunately, I peaked athletically early, but it was great to be part of, with all those guys and us going through that together and getting ready for a season and muddling through it. So that and just great laughing times with friends, like pulling up to, and people have said this, and I didn't live far from that 7-Eleven,
Yeah.
just a couple, 10 minutes from there, not even 5-minute drive, and seeing where we're all going and what the, just I have a lot of good memories. Whatever I remember from high school, it was a positive experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing, one thing that
Right.
one event. No.
Anything you wish classmates knew about you back then or now?
Um, wow, deep. Hold on. Let me sit back on my couch here and contemplate that. No, I don't think so. I think I was pretty open or easy to figure out. Not, certainly not confused, probably on the obnoxious side of easy to figure out, whatever. No, nothing mysterious necessarily about me. No, I'm not gonna make something up. No, I don't think there's anything
Yeah.
special like that. Yeah.
I remember you as a funny guy.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's cool. I would, I love to laugh, and I love to laugh, and I love to make people laugh, and I love when people make me laugh. And by the way, great comic, right? Since we're talking laughing, have you followed Nate Bargatze at all?
I do see some of his stuff periodically, yeah.
Saw him a month ago at Wells Fargo Center. He's blown up after his Saturday Night Live hosting in October. What a great show! So I recommend that to any of your followers that view this. Can't go wrong. Clean too. Not
Yeah,
that I'm prude and don't mind an F-bomb here and there, but he works clean and he's freaking hilarious.
that's great. Great recommendation. So have you had the opportunity to be back in the building? If so, when, why?
I don't think
What'd you think?
I haven't. I mean,
Really?
maybe early on, I've driven around, I mean, I think Jeff Wine and I maybe played tennis there a few times. We were in a tennis playing, we grew up playing a lot of tennis together, Jeff and
Hmm.
I. Um, but I don't think I don't recall being back in the building specifically, in the last 44 years.
Yeah.
If so, it was early on, it
Yeah.
was like just out of college or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, it would be interesting to kind of tool around, I think. From what I hear, not a lot's changed inside.
That's what most folks who've been here have said, and even folks whose kids have gone there,
Yeah.
have mentioned hasn't changed very much. So,
That's weird to imagine to go to high school and have your kids go to the same high school. That's kind of neat.
yeah. So we're back in 1980, and we've just graduated, and you're looking 40 plus years down the road. Is this where you saw yourself?
Wow. From a general, like, I expected to be happy. I expected to have a really cool family. I expected to have a certain degree of success in whatever I was doing from a career perspective. So from that, did I look ahead and go, you're going to spend 10 years in the yellow pages, then insurance, and then sell that company and then get into culture consult. Um, no, but generally speaking, yeah, I think I came, I had a great family, mom and dad and sister in Cherry Hill. We were a close family, roots were set well. So I'd say, yeah, I think I didn't envision like being in Europe or living in some other, like, yeah, I think generally speaking, I'm where I would have hoped I'd be.
All right. So
Yeah.
I didn't ask, how many kids do you have?
So I have a stepson, Justin, who's in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, and he has two grandchildren from him, Kate and Noah. She's a freshman at Florida Southern College playing softball. Noah's a sophomore in high school. Lee and I have three together: Morgan, Mackenzie, Macklin. We got stuck on the M's. Morgan is my story I'll tell you about with Reggie. Morgan is, I guess, 35. She has two daughters, her husband has a very successful digital marketing company in Newport Beach or Irvine, California. So they live in Newport Beach, California. Um,
Nice.
Mackenzie is 31-ish, 31. She was the one that lived in Southern California, and then she and her husband moved 2 years ago to Wilmington, North Carolina.
Oh,
Two boys, James and Miles. And then my son Macklin is going to be 30 this year. He lives in Newport Beach as well. In fact, so this isn't going to play, and this is a secret, but I can share it now because just you and I are seeing it. We're heading out tomorrow. We fly out to California tomorrow for the weekend, and he's dropping the question, and it's a surprise ring sharing, engagement that we're going out to Newport Beach for. So we'll be excited to welcome another member to the family. So 6 grandkids, 4 kids, 6 grandkids. We were so good at parenting, Kara, that all of them left and went as far away as they could, I guess, because we are a close family. I saw something on you think about, if I go back to your question before, like, did you see yourself, are you where you thought you'd be, kind of thing, or whatever. And I saw something the other day that was intriguing. I think a lot of us that are in this, that have grandchildren or children, that it's kind of cool when your kids want to hang out with you. And I don't know
mhm.
how long that window stays open. But I feel that way. I know Lee and I feel that way with our kids. It's kind of a cool thing to be beyond the point where we're friends, and yes, we have to give them advice and here and there, but I love hanging with my kids.
Yeah.
I wish they were closer. So I think eventually we'll spend some time, maybe 3 months a year, 4 months we'll rent out in California and still probably hunker down here.
Nice.
Yeah, great family.
Nice. Um, Best piece of advice you'd go back and give your 18-year-old self, or maybe you gave your 18-year-old kids.
Yeah, I was thinking a couple things. One is go for it, I think. Just like, don't think so much. Just go for it. You want to try something, try it. Give it your all. Like, I mean, go for it. Don't half-ass it. Make a run at it and don't worry about, oops, I failed. Oops, I made a mistake. I think, like, I think sometimes in high school or whatever, and they're always the tough years for all of us, right? But you think too much. Is this the right thing to say, right thing to do, right thing to wear, right thing to, am I with the right group of people? And stop thinking so much and just let it rip. Like I wish if I had gone back, I would say get involved. Like I was involved to a degree. I wasn't just, but I speak publicly. I enjoy the performance aspect of public speaking. It would have been cool to maybe be in a play and try that, or singing or something, like, and I
You
encourage the
can
kids
still
to
do
go.
it, Bill.
Yeah, true.
Community
True.
theater, no doubt.
Yeah, anyway, I'm a sucker for karaoke, especially after a couple of cocktails. But
Yeah.
my daughter, Morgan, her senior year at Shawnee, Morgan was like kind of quiet and reserved. She can sing. And we used to do like karaoke's in the house. We'd have one of those machines when they first came out. But Morgan would sing, but she'd like, I'm pointing at a little laundry room here. She'd go in there with the door closed and sing. And we'd all be like, oh my gosh, this is great. What ended up happening, somehow Reggie taught all three of our kids piano, and they failed miserably. It wasn't him, it was our kids, just in sync. But somehow Morgan and Reggie connected. So Morgan would leave Medford at 9 o'clock at night and drive to Reggie's house in Voorhees. And from like 9:30 to 10 or 11:30, they'd write music together. And
Oh,
that was her senior year. And Reggie, and she had a wonderful, Morgan had a beautiful voice. And Reggie got Morgan to go to World Cafe Live. It was a place over in Philadelphia, kind of near Penn, I think, for open mic night. And that busted Morgan out into performing a little bit. And then she got another vocal coach, and, she tried out for American Idol, and, had started to climb certain ladders with that and the voice here and there. She recorded a 6-song CD in Nashville. Was like
wow.
going that, and all that goes back to her time with Reggie, and
Oh,
really
wow.
Reggie's, near and dear to all of our hearts. We're big fans of him. So I would
There we go.
encourage, she
There we
hit
go.
that.
Shout out Heaven's Edge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Heaven's Edge, there it is. I mean, I've seen Reggie, I've seen him perform, and it's been a while, but like, you ever see that guy play guitar? It's incredible. Like, he's legendary.
Yeah.
But we hold him in high regard for, and I know Morgan does as well, because he helped encourage, like, bust out, give it a shot.
Yeah.
You get some mad skill here. And it was a neat process to be part of. So
Well, that's great.
yeah.
All right. So we've reached our fast and furious finish here. Doesn't have to be fast or furious.
Is this where you asked me my favorite music, or no? Did we?
Yes, exactly. First question is, did you have a favorite TV show or a favorite movie or a favorite book?
Um, Book, that means reading, right? I read a lot now, but I wasn't. Um,
Were you friends with Kurt Gilson at all?
I remember Kurt, no Kurt.
Yeah.
No, I know he's brilliant. I remember Kurt being brilliant.
Well, so when I set up this question, I set it up for favorite TV show or movie, which I thought would kind of hit us all. But then I remembered that Kurt never had a TV in his house,
Wow.
and so I added favorite book, which a lot of people have a favorite book. So
I think
and I'm hoping at some point that we will track down Kurt and he'll be on.
very nice. Yeah, and I saw Scott Goldberg. By the way,
Yeah.
Scott Goldberg's taking his vitamins, his whatever. Scott Goldberg looked younger than he did in high school. How does that happen? Anyway, favorite. I remember MASH being a big.
Yeah.
I had to look that up because I can't
Yeah.
remember when that was. Earlier than that, yeah. Big fan of Marsha Brady and the Brady Bunch, but that was earlier than high school, I think. But MASH, I recall, and the movie I recall in that time frame, and I think it came out earlier than when we graduated, but was Rocky. I remember there was a movie theater in the Barclays Center, and I remember seeing that movie the first time, maybe 76. I don't know when it was. And
One of the top movies in 1979 was Rocky 2.
right. So
So
I think, and Rocky 1. So that I remember that getting me all fired up and enjoying that. But from a book perspective,
you
no.
don't have to have them. That's
No.
okay. Okay, so now your favorite musical group or genre of music or artist that you enjoy.
Oh yeah, and this will be like, people are like, what? My wife thinks this is bubblegumish, but my favorite band, I mean, I'm a big Bruce fan.
Yeah.
But when I think back to high school, my favorite band was Kansas.
Oh,
Point of No Return, Dust in the Wind, Carry On
yeah.
My Wayward Son. I remember Jeff Wyand had a brother, Ray, who was, when we were freshmen, Ray was a senior, and Ray, turned Jeff on to, and Ray was listening to Kansas, and I just like, to the point where I still get abuse from some buddies. Kansas was playing years ago. This is probably 10, 15 years in AC.
Yeah.
I went by myself. Like I'm in the lobby. I get a call from my buddy Hack, the guy I play tennis with and all. He goes, where are you? I'm down at AC. What are you doing there? I said, I'm ready to walk in to watch Kansas. They're playing here. Oh, cool. Is Lee with you? No. Who you with? I'm alone. And I to this day I catch abuse. But yeah, I listened to him the other morning. I was just like doing my thing and listening to Kansas. Yeah.
All
Big,
right.
big fan.
That's great. That's
Yep.
great. Did you have a favorite place to hang out with friends? Or did you play? It could
I,
be a place to hang or eat
I
or
remember just going like, where's the party? Meeting up at 7-Eleven. Then it was like what Coastline and Kaminsky certainly was. I think of Kaminsky's almost more about like when you come back after you get out of
yeah.
school, that was like the gathering spot, or what was it, Shepherd's Inn? I think Scott Goldberg maybe brought that up. It's right
Yeah.
there, there was a pizza place. There was a small little strip center again on Crescent and Brace Road. There was that we hit the pizza place a lot, but nothing. I feel like we moved around. I remember a couple of keg parties out at Woodcrest Golf Course Country Club behind Jeff Fendrick's house. But not one place in particular, other than the meeting spot. You want to find out what's happening tonight, you go to 7-Eleven. And there was
Yeah.
just,
There you go.
yeah, good old days, huh?
Yeah. So what language did you take at East and have you found it helpful? Useful?
I took Spanish. No. Senorita Ben was my Spanish teacher. I don't know if that was senior year, and I don't know what that was, but I don't have a great recall of Spanish or any language. I had French in junior high for a year, whatever. I think we had to mix and match then, but
Yeah.
no, it hasn't been helpful. I wasn't spewing my Spanish knowledge in Italy trying to, no, I use Google Translate now, so not a
Which
big
is
language.
can be very effective, though
Yeah,
not always 100% accurate.
yeah, no. But my English isn't always 100%. We're okay there.
All right. So here's the part
Oh boy.
where we show
Hello.
you a picture.
Yoo-hoo.
Did you like your photo? And did you like your photo? And your quote? And your quote is best memory, all of the great times spent with the group and my associates. You were incorporated even then.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Always that business, org chart. I guess that's what we referred. It's funny. I mean, I don't remember writing that. Obviously, I didn't have any great quote and inspirational message there, but it just tribute to a lot of great people that we hung out with. So
Yeah.
I remember going there for those pictures. That's one, again, you don't know what you're going to remember, but I kind of remember being in that suit, going in for those senior photos. I guess that was our junior year, whenever.
Yeah, that's was. Yeah. You got a suit. We got cowl necks. That's awful in the spring. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like that was the uni, right?
that was the
There you go.
for sure. All right. Final parting shot. Anything you want to tell anybody or everybody who might be listening to this podcast today?
No, I think kudos to you. I mean, one thing I was thinking about, when is someone going to interview you, allow you to be in the seat so we can hear more in depth about you?
So actually, Robin did interview me. I was, I think, in the first 10 or 12. So if you go back,
I'll go back and look. All
go
right.
back and look. Yeah. Yeah, she did. She turned the tables. She says she had her Katie Couric moment.
Nice. Nice. I missed that. I don't know why I didn't see that, but
Yeah.
I think no parting shots. I think it's a great idea. Thanks for doing it. At first I was like, ugh, no, I'll let other people do that. I'm not a big Facebook person, whatever, but I've enjoyed seeing these interviews, whether it was somebody I knew or not. Just again, it's that People Magazine mindset of all of us. You're curious, what are people doing now? I think I've found I've been intrigued by it and enjoyed it more than I thought. So I would encourage, like, Jeff Fendrick and Reggie were like, Bill, you got to do this, and encouraging, any of us that have done this to encourage others, because I think, keep you busy, right? It's a cool
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, with close to 800 people in the class, I think it should keep me, as Eric Muller commented. It's going to my statement will be, well, it's been 65 years since we graduated, so
hey, keep
what
it
are you
rolling, right?
doing?
We've got 45 next year, and yeah, but I
Yeah,
think, yeah, keep you busy. That'll be fun.
that it will be fun. So anyway, well, Bill, thank you so much. This is a real blast,
Thanks.
and
Likewise.
Yeah,
Thanks.
enjoy your travels, and if you find yourself heading up 95 to home and on one of your trips to Wilmington, stop by
You got it. That'd be
in
awesome.
Chapel Hill. It would be great.
Likewise. Look us up when you get up this way too. But thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All
Bye.
right. Take care. Thanks for joining me on It's Been How Long? The podcast about Cherry Hill High School East students from the late 1970s and the early 80s. A shout out to my cousin Brad Corbett, whose podcast We Weren't Friends in High School inspired me to do this podcast and whose advice and encouragement have been so helpful. Thanks also to my husband, Randy Cockdale, who read all the fine print on the podcast hosting website so I wouldn't have to. And thanks to Jeff Lyons, content consultant and guinea pig, and to Deborah Smead, also content consultant. And thank you to all our classmates who are listening in. See you next week.